And welcome in this evening, everybody, and a happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. My name is Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us this evening. Yeah, Father's Day once again, uh, come and gone. Uh, had a great day myself, a pretty quiet day. My little kiddo, I've got a 4-year-old boy and it's kind of a nice, relaxed day. Church this morning, little picnic lunch at the playground, and just a little bit hang out at home. Weather was beautiful up here in southern Maine today, so I had a chance to get outside and enjoy some rest and relaxation with the little kids. So Father's Day has always been kind of a it's definitely changed and evolved for me over the years. I had my little guy a little later in life. I was 40 when I had him. Uh, But I also did not have a very great relationship, uh, really at all with my dad. Uh, he's been gone now, I'd say it's been going on the better part of 10 years. He was a tricky guy. He was meant different things to different people. He was, for those that knew him who were friends with him, I think he was really well thought of and a good friend and someone that would do a lot for his buddies. But as a dad, at least to me, uh, not so great. I talk about my father that I survived him. I survived that childhood. Thanks mostly to my mom and to some other key supports that we had. Um, my sisters may have a little bit of a different take, and that's fine. I think that he had his own relationships with them, but Father's Day was always a little tricky for me. Not my favorite day. Uh, that changed. Uh, I say it changed 4 years ago for sure. But I've had other uh, lovely opportunities in my life to be a dad, a stepfather and a foster father over the years. So the blessings have certainly been felt in those years as well. Um, but these last four in particular, having my own little guy has been great. When I think about that childhood with a father who was an alcoholic, who really struggled mightily with that, you know, I think back on how God provided for me in particular, with just some great role models through church, through various close friends and their dads. I had a lot of just awesome examples of what it means to be a good father, starting with my mom's dad. We called him Bunka. Uh, been gone unfortunately now for a few years, but he was at least to the grandchildren, he was very just a sweet, soft, always funny, always jovial type of guy, and I know we all miss him so very much. I had a wonderful youth pastor uh, during my formidable years, Pastor Kirk Fairhurst, who was truly a kind of a beacon, kind of a lighthouse beacon type of person for me, someone I've always looked up to, um, learned a lot from him, saw him and his wife have their babies when they were serving here in the mid coast. And like I said, I had a few other core dads of close friends that really set great examples for me. So I do think that having those examples, and also having the example that my dad set for me, which wasn't a great one, I think has absolutely helped me be a better father, maybe a more attentive father um, today than maybe I would have been otherwise. Um, I make 1,000 mistakes every day, like I'm sure every other mom and dad does, but um, I'm blessed. I guess all that to say, I feel uh, very blessed to have this role in my kiddo's life. Um, it's a great responsibility and definitely the best job that I could ever have. So, to those dads out there, I think of my stepdad today, Jim, and also my little guys, pops, as well. Happy Father's Day to you all. With that said, um, not a whole lot of news to talk about today. We are going to take a quick look at the Stanley Cup final that is now through four games. Uh, Florida up 3 games to 1 in that series. And obviously, we saw what we saw last night, just a shellacking by Edmonton, 8-1, to keep that series alive, to keep Lord Stanley's Cup in its box. Um, and really, when you look at the series to date, you could probably make a case that Edmonton, despite being down 3 games to 1, has outplayed Florida 3 out of the 4 games. Two for sure, and I think you can definitely make a case for three. So it's not always a case of the team playing the best winning every game. Sometimes you have to be opportunistic. Sometimes you get good puck luck, um, and sometimes you just get special performances like Florida has, especially with their goaltender through the first 3 games. Take a look at the shots on goal through the 4 games. Edmonton at 122, Florida 102. I don't have it in front of me in terms of high danger chances out of those shots, but it does feel like Edmonton has had the better of the high danger chances in the series so far. For power play, really both penalty kill units have done a wonderful job in the series. Edmonton finally getting a power play goal last night. That was big for them. They're 1 for 16 through the 4 games. Florida 1 for 13. So Florida giving up more chances, but both PKs really holding up their end of the bargain. Um, talked about this when I did the Edmonton kind of you know preview for the series that their power play is so good, so dominant that for them to get over the hump against Florida, they were going to have to take advantage on the power play. And 1 for 16, that's part of the story. That's part of why they're down, 3 games to 1. Um, they've moved the puck well. They've had dynamic chances. You can see the talent. You can see the chances they're creating. A lot of crossbars being hit. Basically everything but the goal, especially through those first 3 games. When we look at the face-off circle, Florida has dominated 3 out of the 4 games. It got closer as we've gone on, though. Florida was, I think, at 59.6%, so basically 60-40 in that first game. Um, and Florida did edge them out in games 2 and 3. Edmonton got the better of them in the dot in game 4. When you look at games 1 and 2, which we already talked about a little bit in a previous video, we know that Bobrovsky was the story in game 1. Edmonton outplayed him just about in outside the faceoff circle, really outplayed him in every other category. When you look at that game, and Bobrovsky just put up a Conn Smythe winning type of performance, which you need to have if you're going to win a Stanley Cup. Uh, I absolutely hated how Edmonton played in game 2. That was the one game where you say Florida definitely got the better of them, got under their skin. Edmonton got frustrated, completely lost their composure. It happens, um, but it really worried me after game 2. Like, if they're going to play like that, they're going to get that frustrated after 2 games. Then we might just want to put a ribbon on this one and send it down the road. Um, that frustration just came out too often, and they're, I think, really lucky that Draisaitl didn't get a game, that there wasn't more, uh, from, player safety, uh, the player safety department after that game. That they had pretty much their full assortment coming back. Game 3, uh, really the closest one you've had in the series so far. Um, when you look at game 3 through the first 2 periods, Edmonton had 29 shots and only 6 in the third. They're chasing the score at that point. They end up losing the game. I think it was 4-3. They're chasing the game, and they only get those 6 shots in the third. So that really just tells you what Florida's defense was able to do in that third period, even though, again, Edmonton during stretches of game 3 outplayed Florida. 29 shots through 2 periods. Man, if you're a Bruins fan, you're like, I take 29 shots in a game. That'd be lovely to see. But that's how Edmonton can play. But Florida's defense definitely stepped up in that third and just kind of muddied the waters. I did expect one of these games to have a real weird, kind of crooked number. We saw that last night. I think Edmonton kind of got it out of their system. 8-1, that will do it. You think there was 9 goals in a game. Well, if it's 5-4, think about it. 8-1 is that's significant. So, and that's what Edmonton can do. That's the kind of power they have in that offense when they're cooking. Uh, they can make things like that happen. All that to say, they're still down 3 games to 1. Uh, well, really, they've got if they stretch it to a seventh game, they got to win 2 of these in Florida. The hill they have to climb is steep and maybe impossible for them to climb. However, if you are an Edmonton fan and you're holding on to some hope that maybe, just maybe, if we can sneak out at game 5, maybe we can get some momentum going. What can I hold on to? One thing that's been very evident, that was really evident in games 1 and game 5, is that the team speed for Edmonton is definitely superior to Florida. It's very clear to see that. Um, because of that speed, you know, I've been impressed how Florida hasn't been able to forecheck consistently and really keep Edmonton pinned in to their D zone and to that neutral zone. Much like you see Florida play, we talk about them kind of play with that chaos and that kind of tornado like effect. When they're in their when they're ozone, a team's not being able to get pucks out, not being able to move it out. That team speed for Edmonton has really kind of kept Florida in check in that way. Um, when you notice how Edmonton, when they have the puck in their D zone and they're behind their goalie, instead of moving it north right up the boards, right up the ice, they're moving it east to west, and they're moving it fast east to west. That's kind of keeping the Florida D and the Florida, group out there moving a little bit, kind of getting them out of position. And again, it's that team speed and that ability to move the puck east to west and not just straight up the boards has helped Edmonton get pucks out and not get pinned in. It's happened a few times. There's been certain occasions in this series it has happened, but not at all like you saw against Boston, and not at all like you saw against the New York Rangers. So that's definitely helped. So if Edmonton can keep that going, maybe they have an opportunity. Florida's a smart team, well coached. They're obviously taking these couple days looking at film, looking at tape, and I do expect Bobrovsky to be back in net for Game 5. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Game that rest in the third period. You just kind of for Florida, you just kind of burn the tape and move on. You get on to Game 5, which will be Tuesday night back at sunrise. This will be really curious to see if Edmonton can push this to a Game 6, or if Florida captures their first Cup title in team history. There'll be good stories all around, regardless of how this one goes. I do still expect Florida to be able to close this out and raise that cup. We will see. Like I said, not a whole lot of other news right now in the NHL. Well, there's tons of rumors still swirling. I saw something about another Brady Tkachuk to Boston rumor being floated out there again. Um, like maybe more of a wish list dream scenario type of thing, but they're going to continue to hear a lot more of that. Out of Toronto, we did get news in terms of their coaching that Guy Bouchard or Boucher, again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name. Assistant coach who was under Sheldon Keefe is not going to return for this year. Uh, this is, you know, pretty common. Craig Berube's coming in. He wants to have his own guys there. Um, but Boucher was a former head coach in Tampa, 2010 to 2013, and again in Ottawa during 2016, 2019. So be some changes there. Again, changes that were probably needed and to be expected. On a personal note, just want to say again, thank you. The YouTube channel is now up to 26 subscribers. So we are inching ever so um, closely or close to that 100 mark that I've set for myself. So, guys, thank you so much for that. Really means a lot. Really appreciate it. Starting this thing out, maybe not having all the confidence in the world to get it going, but having your support early on here has really meant a lot to me. So thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, go to YouTube, look up Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod, hit that little red subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It would be absolutely appreciated by me. So, with that said, please enjoy the remainder in the NHL final and also the NBA finals. Got another big game coming up in Boston at the Garden tomorrow night, and I will be back with you all again soon.